Hey folks, Carl Kishel here, and welcome to this edition of the Microsoft Cloud News Update, researching the cloud blog so you don't have to. So this week, we have a couple of items to share with you, including an SMB multi-channel update for Azure Files, Azure File support for reservations, some Microsoft Teams roadmap updates, an update regarding Windows 365, and much more. So with that, let's jump into it. Links to all the updates we'll be covering this week can be found in the description of the video. So the first update is regarding SMB multi-channel support for Azure Files. This is now generally available. So SMB multi-channel will now give you enhanced functionality and responsiveness regarding your reads and writes to the Azure service. So reads, expect up to 2 to 3 times performance for reads, 3 to 4 times the performance for writes. And also this will make the service more resilient as you're copying data between your client and the Azure File services. For more info, click on the link. Capacity reservations are now available for Azure Files in all the storage tiers. So premium, hot, full, storage capacity reservations are now available, and this will allow you to save some money if you pay upfront for those storage items. The link over here, which can be again found in the description of the video, can take you to the costing and the Azure Files pricing calculator, so you can do your own scenario mapping with the calculator and with your specific needs. So check out this link for more info on how to save money with Azure Files. Next up, a couple of Microsoft Teams roadmap updates. So the first one here is regarding chat supervisors. So if you're using the moderated chat feature in Microsoft Teams, chat supervisors can now delete messages. So this was a very popular request currently in development. However, it should be released to tenants this month. So keep an eye out for this particular feature coming soon. The next Teams roadmap update is also regarding Microsoft Forms and the ability to create a poll in Teams. So you can do this today with Microsoft Forms. It's a little kludgy, perhaps, not so much discoverable. But with this enhancement coming next month, October 2021, you'll be able to find a new app, which will be called Polls, and will take you to Forms with a predefined form for polling within Microsoft Teams. So just another step to make polling easier. This next blog post provides some really good background information on the provisioning scenarios regarding Windows 365 Cloud PC. If you're not familiar with Windows 365 Cloud PC, the service within based on the Azure platform that provides you with predefined Windows clients, VDI clients in the cloud, with some management facilities wrapped around it to be easily managed. So Microsoft has had a virtual or VDI environment for some time in Azure, formerly known as Windows Virtual Desktop, now known as Azure Virtual Desktop. And with those tool sets, you can create your own VDI environment. However, with Windows 365, licensing is included. The networking is already established for you. It's really about assigning licenses and policies and kind of like a managed solution. This particular blog post I thought was pretty interesting, and you may find some value here as well. It goes over 4 scenarios in terms of how to provision users. The first scenario is using the provisioning policy built into Windows 365 to create policy based on location and to provision a particular user. So if you have a user who's based in the US and maybe they're traveling abroad, you may want to provision a cloud PC for them within that geography. The scenario 1 goes through that particular scenario, and the other scenarios cover other provisioning options as well. For example, provisioning off of a persona based on the particular user type, title, etc. if they belong to a particular group, and based on those particular parameters, provisioning the correct cloud PC to that user. Scenario 3 goes over multiple users and giving these users multiple cloud PCs within the platform, going through the provision scenario there. So maybe a particular user may need a high performance machine for a specific workload and maybe a lower performance machine for another workload. And this particular scenario goes through that. And then finally, how to update the provisioning policy and moving users between those policies. So Windows 365, extremely popular platform and solution that's currently available now. And again, I thought this blog post was interesting around describing the various provisioning scenarios that you have available to you. Next update is regarding disaster recovery services in Azure called ASR and virtual VMware machines in Azure using the ASR site recovery service. So in the past, a lot of the updating had to be done manually between the virtual machines, the appliance that handled the replication, and some of the server-side components. And that was fairly cumbersome. However, with this new update, um, whenever updates have to occur within the appliance or the mobility agent, that will all now be done automatically for you. And it's just an easy way to streamline the operations if you're using ASR with VMware virtual machines. And our last update comes from one of the Microsoft MVPs regarding how to copy data from Office 365 using an on-premises gateway. I thought that was pretty cool use of Microsoft Flow. And the scenario here is copying files onto a server and moving that into a system such as SharePoint Online. So you may have a workflow where files are dropped server, and you may want to kick off a file copy to SharePoint Online. So using Flow, and you can create the Flow template or use this particular template called Copy New Files from your PC to SharePoint. Also works with servers and SharePoint Online. And this particular workflow goes through all the details on how to set that up. I thought this is a pretty cool way to leverage Microsoft Flow and some of the automation capabilities as part of the Power Platform. And that concludes this edition of the Microsoft Cloud News Update. If you found this valuable, give me a thumbs up. I'd like to be kept in the loop on everything we do here. Click on subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well. If you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, you can drop something in the comments section. I read all the comments. Or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter at Carl Kishel. So with that, appreciate your time this week. I wish you well, and we will catch you next time.